Greg Sankey kicks off things here at SEC Media Days. He said a few interesting things.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Zac Blackerby, Darrell Dapprich, live from Digital Drive here at SEC Media Days. Greg Sankey, as we sit down to record this, Greg Sankey just wrapped up his opening statements. And Darrell, I don't know, it felt a little different than it has in previous years. Normally, he gives us something. I mean, normally there's some sort of announcement, even if it's where SEC Media Days is the following year, there's normally something. He shied away from a lot of questions about the schedule. He was very vague when asked about, the college football playoff. He did give us a little bit of hints there, possibly, but to me, I do think the biggest thing was there's still questions when it comes to rev share. He says, hey, we're meeting with our teams. But as far as his opinion on it, he was asked multiple times about his opinion, and it didn't really seem like he was interested in giving one.
He didn't give us much at all. I think the comment, just using catchy phrases and, monikers about, it's a marathon, you don't leave halfway through the marathon, does not answer some of the questions that we were looking to see addressed.
Yeah. Obviously, schedule, that's something that's going to come up every time until it's fixed. He was asked, okay, do you want this to be a 2-year fix, whatever you guys come up with for the 2026 season, then ultimately the 2027 season, or do you want it to be a model that is set for the foreseeable future? And I mean, once again, the answer was kind of cute, right? It's like, well, I want to talk about scheduling as little as possible, so hopefully it's for the long term with kind of check-ins from time to time, which makes sense. I mean, we need a standard scheduling model moving forward. But he did talk up the strength of schedule for the SEC, which has been a big proponent in favor of 8, which I understand why coaches would want that. And he also mentioned that a lot of teams played a Power 4 opponent. And he said some teams in the SEC last year played 10 of their 12 games against P4. And he said it's going to be a similar trend this year because it's pretty much the same schedules across the board. So that's sure, but it's like, are we really not closer on this front? It's kind of odd to me how we're not at this point yet.
I just see a lot of stalemate is the way I see it. And,
sure.
And to come back and say, well, every one of our member institutions played at least 9 Power 4 games. Some played 10. I get it, but to me, that was a diversion. We're talking about SEC schedules of 9 games, not Power 4. And I guess the argument is, well, is it watered down because the SEC plays 8 conference games when other conferences play 9? The SEC is a whole different animal. And so we're talking of let's stick with the point of the SEC. We're not here at other Power 4 media days. We're at SEC media days. So let's stick to that. And I also didn't like his answer to the question to the gentleman from the United Kingdom about possibly playing international. He made it sound like the SEC is the SEC for what it is.
So that was my favorite part. That was my favorite part. I want to talk on that specifically in a second because his answer to that actually got me really, really fired up. So let's touch on that in a second. He talked for a long time at the beginning about postseason with basketball. And I'm like, I'm not against this. I don't know if I would have led with this, Commissioner Sankey. We are at, the official kind of kickoff for the football season. But it kind of sounds like he's not opposed or maybe even for more teams in the basketball postseason, which surprises me a little bit.
Disappointed in that answer.
Disappointed.
Totally against.
Not mad, but disappointed.
Yeah, totally.
Darrell Dapprich.
I'm against the expansion of the NCAA tournament. I think I was against the play-in games. I think it needed to stay at 64.
Yeah.
It's going to become a participation tournament. You might as well just make it upwards basketball and let them wear different colored wristbands. I don't agree with it at all. It needs to stay right where it's at. Or actually, I would like to see it go back to 64. So his answer to that, as the commissioner of the best conference in America, expanding it to make more teams go in it, which I think saturates it.
Especially when you had a record amount of teams just make it. And it doesn't really seem like there's any slowing down for the SEC as far as making the NCAA tournament.
Right.
So it's how does Like, I don't think the overall product is better. I don't think the SEC's footing in that situation is better. So, like, I'm with you. I don't know if I'm going to say I'm disappointed, but I am a little surprised for sure.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the talk of expansion. I'm a traditionalist based upon the fact that I like 64 teams. And again, I hated the play-in stuff. So it is what it is. I'm surprised that he would be for something that saturates and waters something down.
Yeah. So he had 2 quotes specifically that I loved. I don't think it was the most important. That's why we're about to talk about him now. But 2 quotes that I absolutely loved. And let's jump into that in just a moment right here on this special reaction show for Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Man, it seems like there's so many things in Atlanta while we're here, Darrell. Sure, SEC Media Days is going on. I think there's one more Beyonce concert tonight. The All-Star festivities are in Atlanta as well. Apparently WWE was here last night too. And like, it's the perfect scenario when you talk about Game Time, because their big thing is like, sure, you can see the view from your seat. Sure, you can toggle in all-in pricing so you're not blown away by the fees and all that at the end of the transaction. But last-minute tickets, like, you can get up to 60% off these tickets if you wait, 30 minutes before the start of the event. When you're traveling or in a city like Atlanta where there's always stuff going on, it's the perfect app to make sure if you want to go catch all these events.
Perfect, because it's that one-stop shop. How much of an indication is this what I was talking about? You've got all 3 different types of events. You've got a wrestling match, you've got a baseball all-star game, and you've got a concert. Throw in a play that's at Fox Theater in Atlanta here, and you'd have it all, right?
Yep. Darrell was dying to go to the Beyonce concert last night. I'm like, Darrell, I just don't have it in me. Don't have it in me. But we would have used Game Time. Take the guess. We're going to buying tickets with Game Time. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Darrell, there were 2 quotes from Sankey in his opening statements that I absolutely loved. One, he flat out said, college athletics is not broken. Said it's under a lot of stress, a lot of strain, I actually believe was the word he used. But he said that college athletics, not broken, which is what a lot of people are saying. A lot of the naysayers in the current, situation, when you look at rev share and NIL and all that, transfer portal, is people who don't like it, they say it's broken. He says it's not broken. I agree with him, but in the sense that, like, I do think it's close. Like, I do think there's a lot of pressure and it could snap at any moment.
If he wants to make analogies, I'll give you one. It's not broken, but it's cracked. I mean, there's a small crack, hairline fracture in it right now that if it doesn't get plugged up or doesn't get addressed or doesn't get puttied up, it could break. And so and a lot of the reasons why are what we've talked about and the things that he really didn't address full force. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he can't stand up there and say college athletics is broken, but there are a lot of things about it right now that is showing cracks that weren't there a few years ago.
The other thing that he said that I absolutely love, so you mentioned there was a reporter from the UK there. You could tell by his accent. And he was asked about growing the game internationally, which has been a big thing for pro sports. The NFL's done an incredible job with it under Goodell, playing games in Mexico and UK and Ireland, all that stuff. So he was asked about that with the SEC. It seems like there's a few games in Ireland every year now, which I'm not against. I think it's awesome. But he asked that about the SEC. And Sankey's response was, the strength is in our communities. And I think there's been so much talk about the stuff that's, quote unquote, breaking or cracking, to use your term, college sports, that we have kind of forgotten about the strength of like what this all is. And it's all these communities. And he talked about how, the 16 cities or 16 towns that hold the 16 schools within the SEC, that's the strength. That's the strength of what the SEC has to offer. And, we talk about the economics of it all. Like, you take 100,000 people out of a city, like that's really going to impact, that market for sure. But I loved that answer. And so I'm a little interested to hear like what you didn't like about it.
Hated that answer.
Why?
Because the SEC already is king in this community. Nothing you could do could taint that, take away from that, water that down. It is the number one brand in all of college athletics.
Yeah.
Why not take that worldwide? There are people in England, Ireland, Germany, Italy that are dying, longing to see what American college football is all about. and the SEC is the standard, why not go take the standard to them and give them a little bit of a taste?
Now, I do think he talked about how he met with, I think they say the mayor of Dublin, I believe, about getting a game.
The Lord of Dublin, which is similar to but yeah, that's very highfalutin.
Got it. There you go. There you go. And so, it doesn't sound like it's out of the realm of possibility. I just think based off the way he answered that, you're not going to remove a home game from that. And so, would it make more sense for, I don't think you're going to see anything in conference where that happens. I think it would have to be somebody doing their, kickoff game, whatever, for some reason, Auburn and Baylor, or a neutral site game, or maybe like when Auburn played Oregon to open the season off, or Washington. Would that make sense to be played in Dublin or Germany or something like that? Maybe, but the way he answered that is we're not taking away from our conference play. That's essentially what I heard.
No one's asking him to. I think you've just cracked the code. Just having
you're saying crack a lot today.
Yes, just have a strong SEC representative in one of those kickoff games.
Sure.
If you're going to play in Arlington, or you're going to play in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl Classic, or some of these others that were played, just play one of those. Notre Dame and Florida State just did it last year?
Yeah.
Why not make one of those schools an SEC school, a Georgia, an Alabama, an Auburn, Texas, someone like that has some brand. Let them play over there and let somebody that never has an opportunity to see them. That's all I'm saying.
Anything else he said that we need to touch on before we wrap up this reaction?
Very intrigued by the fact that he speaks to the Big Ten commissioner 4 to 5 times a week. That's a lot.
Sure.
And that basically it's talking about the college football expansion, but if that doesn't work, he's very happy with 12 as it is right now.
Sounds like he prefers 12.
Yes.
I don't think that happens.
I'm coming across, and I'm just going to be very transparent, and I don't know what it is, but it seems like everything he said today that I'm in polar opposite of, and it's true. I don't agree with the 12. I'd rather go 16. I think people need to go international. I'm against the expansion.
You are against everything. Are you anti-Greg Sankey?
I'm anti-Greg Sankey today.
So you're not doing the Sankey leg today?
No.
Okay.
No, I am not doing the Sankey leg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, or if you're listening on audio, find us on social media. Like the video, subscribe if you're on audio, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and we'll be back with more stuff probably later today. This has been Locked On Auburn.